Can't get enough sports shorts? Tune into Sports Shorts TV on Cox HD Channel 1013 Mondays at 8, Tuesdays at 9, and ETEL Channel 4. That's 52 weeks a year to get educated on sports by the best. Joel Davis and Ronnie Rance.
And welcome, everyone, to this week's edition of Sports Shorts presented by LeBears Casino. Ronnie Rance here with you. Our guests today include former LSU baseball coach and I guess event planner extraordinaire Dan Canaveri joins us, and then Drew Dilio. We'll talk a little football in the second half hour. Former Parkview Baptist, Michigan Wolverine wide receiver. And Coach, it was a big weekend, obviously, for the Tiger fans. LSU football home game, always a big deal. But on Friday night, this was a project I know you and TAF kind of been working on for a very long time. It was a long time in the making. I think ever since 2009 when the new Alex Box Stadium opened, most people thought the statue might come then or very shortly thereafter for Skip Bertman. Took 10 years, but finally Friday night it all culminated with a great event.
I tell you what, it was about as good as it could be done. Kudos to the people at TAF, Chrislyn Mayer, Courtney Albritton, Hannah Pope, and most of all, Kristen Kane, who does all those events. All those ladies did a great job. Of course, Rick Perry, who, in Rick Perry fashion, this is for Skip, no holds barred. Let's just do it right and make sure it's first class. It's a once-in-a-lifetime event. And, of course, all the donors that financed the plaza and the statue, and, of course, Paul Maneri for having the concept and putting it all together. It was just a great event, and I think Skip was very, very happy. I was happy, especially with the turnout of former players, but not just LSU players. I mean, we're talking Beach High guys from the University of Miami. It was just really a culmination of a baseball life.
I thought that was really cool. There's a picture right there that I sent over to Nathan. That's one that a lot of folks got to take individual pictures at the end with Skip, and one I will treasure. I'll get him to sign it. I'll make sure I get it framed over at Acadian Frame. And
and it'll be auctioned at the Hall of Fame.
That one will hang in the office. That one will hang in the office. But I guess my question, I had this, somebody asked me this, why now? Why not baseball season? Why do it in the fall versus spring?
The answer is if you were there, you'll know why. You could never have housed that many people with a reception at baseball during a baseball game, number one.
Yeah.
Okay. Number two, think about how many people would want baseball tickets and there are none.
Right.
Right. So the event, plus Paul didn't want to take anything away from Skip didn't want to take anything away from Paul Maneri and his baseball program, a distraction during the season. And so that was the reason for it. It just worked a lot better. This football game was a good one. You knew it was going to be at night. You had the right weekend. And people could fly in. They could get hotels. And we blocked off some hotels. And really during the off season, a lot of guys, have kids playing baseball. And so just everything pointed to, let's do it in the fall. Let's take advantage of the box being there. Gave them time instead of rushing to get it done by the end of the season. Last year, we waited this long. And so I think everything worked out perfect. And that's why we did it in the fall, just really to have the space at the box and the availability for the players.
So the statue situation at LSU has kind of gained some steam the last few years. There's now the Bob Pettit and Shaquille O'Neal statues behind the PMAC by the practice facility. There's the Billy Cannon statue. You see some video of the unveiling right here. Talk about, I guess, how this statue in particular came to be. And, oh, by the way, Coach can't be upset because it's gigantic. It's about twice his size.
I've never seen larger fingers in my life.
Right. We know he had big hands anyway. But talk about how this statue came to be, the artist, and what you know about the background of the genesis of this.
Well, the genesis of it is, it was something that once you did a statue of the other folks, it was inevitable that people wanted a statue of Skip. And I think Herb Vincent was really the driving force behind it when he was here to get that done. But, you need approval of the Board of Supervisors. You need a lot of approvals, and then you have to commission the artist, the sculptor. And then, of course, you have to finance it. And so they had the sculptor that did Billy Cannon and did Shaquille, and so he was on board. And then really the hardest thing is to figure out what's the sculpture going to look like? What is the statue going to look like? And I think the biggest thing is they wanted it, and then people all wanted it, including Skip, to be interactive. So this particular picture that was found with a few adjustments and him leaning on the fence allowed people, handicapped people in a wheelchair can pull up in front. You could stand next to him like you did. Little kids can stand in front. It being 9 feet tall, I think all of that came into play, and I think it was a great tribute. But one of the things that's unique is, well, really, there's two things unique about it. The Legacy Plaza, to house the statue and Skip being the centerpiece, was really something Paul Maneri came up with to honor the teams of the SEC. And I think that's important that people realize that Legacy Plaza, when you walk into Alex Box, you have 6 national championship flags and 6 plaques. When you walk into Georgia, they have like College World Series appearance 1987 on the fence. And it's like if you didn't win a national championship, you didn't do anything here. So for recruiting purposes and also for the players like Wally McMakin and Vaughn Miners and some of the great players all the way back to 1939, to have them honored for the SEC championships, I think is a real good thing. And then, of course, to have Skip overseeing that along with the national championships for life, that are out in the front plaza of the Jerry Lane, I think is very, very appropriate.
Yeah, it came out outstandingly well. There were some really neat former Tigers that came a long way. Obviously, Kurt Laskanik, one of the great pitchers of the late '80s, hadn't been here in a while. Lives in Orlando. He pitched in the major leagues, won a World Series with the Red Sox. We had Lyle Mouton came in, Andy Sheets. But I thought it was really cool. Coach Bertman, of course, coached at Miami Beach High and won a state championship as an offensive line coach in football, and then later that spring won a state championship in baseball. And they had about 7 or 8 guys?
No, they had from the 20 guys.
Oh, they had 20 guys
with their families at their own expense.
Right.
That came up, stayed in a hotel, did the thing. Then Skip had a party for him on Saturday at Mike Anderson's.
Right.
And that was another reason is he could entertain all the people. But they just had a great time, and it shows that Skip didn't just influence us here. He influenced a lot of people. We had Sam Sorcy, who played for us in 1982 on the national championship team in Miami, kind of representing that group, and came up, brought his whole family, and then took a ton of pictures. So it shows Skip influence everywhere he was at.
Right.
He was the same guy. And I think that's what people, here need to understand. It wasn't just at LSU. He did it his whole life.
Well, pretty outstanding event, no question about it. I know a lot of hard work went into it, and it'll be something that I'm sure he and his family will appreciate. And if you haven't had a chance to go by there, check out the statue. It's lit up at night as well. You can bring the family by. I saw a lot of former players that, as you mentioned, guys that played on SEC championship teams, regional teams, checking out their plaques and their pictures, and representing their teams. I mean, guys like Pete Bush and others that were on great teams in the late 80s and all, and they didn't win a national championship. It doesn't mean that they didn't do a lot of great things. It was funny. Brett Laxton actually and I were talking. Of course, he was the star of the '93 national championship win when he struck out 16 against Wichita State, and he was looking at the SEC plaque, and he was like, hey, tell me about 92, because like 92, we won the SEC regular season, the tournament.
Then we lost here to Phil Nevin and the boys from,
And so
Long Beach State,
and that was the thing. I was like, man, that team was just as good as the '93. It just didn't work out.
We had the 3 big freshmen come in: Todd Walker, Russ Johnson, and Scott Schultz.
Right.
That really carried us, and we had some leftover. We turned over a lot of guys, but much like the '97 team,
right?
'96 team had a lot of seniors. We won a national championship. We rolled it over, but they were able to repeat.
Right.
That '92 team had a chance to repeat. We just ran into some bad fortune and a really hot team.
Right. He's Dan Canaveri. I'm Ronnie Rance. Sports Shorts presented by LaBerge Casino. We'll take a timeout when we come back on Sports Shorts. We'll talk a little LSU football as the Tigers are off to a hot 3-0 start. A big win over Northwestern State, although it got a little hairy there in the first half. They made it interesting in the second half, but Coach O was excited because they did finish and play 4 quarters. We'll talk some LSU when we return.
Heater outages hurt everyone. Don't be a victim. Call Accutemp and schedule your maintenance check today.
If you're an avid sports fan, then you need to check out the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame, located in historic downtown Natchitoches, next to the Chateau St. Denis Hotel and the Natchitoches Convention Center. The Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame is where the rich history of Louisiana sports is told through the pictures, artifacts, and by the legends themselves in video archives. Come to the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame and Northwest Louisiana History Museum and visit a world-renowned architectural marvel. For more information and to purchase tickets to the annual Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame events, visit lasportshall.com/purchase.
Introducing the Mercedes-Benz family of vans, including the full-size Sprinter and the mid-size Metris. If these are your wingtips, if this is your gourmet latte, then these are your vans. Vans for professionals. Strictly professionals. Best commercial van residual value according to ALG, and starting at just $25,995. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to...
When you come to Relief Windows, your experience starts here.
Or here.
Then we come to your home.
We measure twice.
And then we bring custom windows to your home.
We remove your old windows. Install your new windows.
Clean our mess.
And we make sure you're completely satisfied.
And all of this before you pay a dime. And at Relief Windows, our #1 product is customer satisfaction.
Relief Windows.
Heater outages hurt everyone. Don't be a victim. Call AccuTemp and schedule your maintenance check today.
Can't get enough sports shorts? Tune into Sports Shorts TV on Cox HD Channel 1013 Mondays at 8, Tuesdays at 9, and ETEL Channel 4. That's 52 weeks a year to get educated on sports by the best. Joel Davis and Ronnie Rance.
Welcome back, everybody. Sports Shorts presented by LeBear's Casino. Dan Canaveri joining us. We were talking last segment about Coach Skip Bertman as he was honored with his statue unveiling outside Alex Box Stadium. And now we'll talk a little LSU football. Before I talk some LSU football, I know you're probably not you're from Miami, you're probably a Dan Marino guy.
No, I'm a Saints.
But I mean, Drew Brees and the thumb, Coach. You talk about how a season can flip.
Yeah, and people don't realize the most valuable guy to me in the NFL is the backup quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm a GM, it's the first guy I get is the backup quarterback, because in the NFL today, the quarterback's got to go down at some point in time. Has to.
Yeah, Tom Brady and really Drew to this point have kind of been the rare exception. But
Favre back in the day.
Father Time. I mean, not that this wouldn't have happened when Drew Brees was 22, but just law of averages, right? I mean, You play enough games, things are going to happen.
Sooner or later, it's going to happen.
Something's going to happen. It's just a freak accident on the follow-through, hits the hand. But, we saw Peyton Manning when he got into late 30s with the neck and all the issues there and the injuries in Denver. So, hopefully this isn't the beginning of the end. Hopefully this is like a 2-week thing or something. But it was funny. I saw Brian Sparacino. There's a name for you.
There's a backup quarterback.
Herb Tyler back in the late 90s. I saw him the other day, and yesterday actually, after the game, and he said that he actually in junior college played with some ligament damage in his thumb because he saw how Drew was taped up. And he said, so, depending on the ligament damage situation, you can play, but obviously there's different levels of injury, just like anything. But they can't obviously have him miss more than a couple games. That was pretty obvious yesterday.
Well, listen to the radio and people talking. One point that is brought out that's pretty good is you're going to see the value of and how great Kamara, and how great
Thomas.
Yeah. They're getting paid a lot of money. Is it because Drew Brees is the quarterback and the defenses have to look out for Brees and that makes Kamara more effective?
Sure.
Does Thomas get the ball in the right spot where he can catch it, makes him a better receiver than if he had an average quarterback? So I think we're going to see if the Saints paid and get the value for their dollar while he's out.
Well, it was funny because that was pretty obvious when Bridgewater went in the ball game. Cook, the tight end that they paid all this money for from the Raiders, who was atrocious yesterday, dropped 2 or 3 balls against the Rams, and it wasn't. I mean, there's no excuse. The ball hit him in both hands. He should have caught him, but they weren't perfect throws, right? With Drew, you run across the middle, boom, the ball's somewhere in the middle of your body area where he had to reach back or he had to reach up, and he dropped those balls.
Right, you don't have to focus as much on the catch as you can the run after the catch, because the ball, it's going to be there. Plus a different speed, different spin. It's a different thing. It's like a hitter seeing a different pitcher.
Yeah.
It's not the same kind of thing.
So let's talk LSU football. I know you and Coach Bertman do a show every Sunday night. You talk a little bit about everything in sports on Eagle 90.1.
We're actually on the 104.5.
Oh, it's on 104.5. What's that, 7 to 8?
7 to 8 on Sunday nights. Sundays with Skip and Cano.
Like
Tuesdays with Maurice.
But, but Coach will talk a little football, right? And a little,
he was offensive coordinator.
I didn't know he was OC. I knew he was O-line.
He was O-line, but then he moved into OC.
Okay.
And ran it at the Beach High. But as an AD, he really got involved in college football.
Well, he's yeah, exactly. Yeah, of course he was
live and die with every snap,
and less and everything else. One of my favorite stories with Coach was the Bluegrass Miracle. Him watching that game and living and dying on every play, and then of course it was such a bad game for LSU, and then they win at the end, and he made his day. Terry Saban was sitting next to him in the booth, and he was, every play doing his play-by-play, which of course she was
colorful.
Yeah, very colorful play-by-play, and she's over there. Oh my God!
You heard
she
at the end.
She wasn't Nick yet.
Well, Joe Carvalito was there, and he said the greatest thing is at the end when they get the Bluegrass Miracle. He turns around to the whole booth and he goes, "I am the chosen one."
That's
great. He got that
right. It was his blessing. The Warren Morris and Bluegrass Miracle. I'll skip. This LSU football team, though, what a difference a year makes, because it was 24-14. Really should have been 24-17. The guy missed a chip shot field goal right before half. The crowd was murmur against Northwestern State. This was a bad Northwestern State team who the first 2 weeks were awful. Lost to a team named Midwestern State. I had to Google it. Didn't know where they were from. They played over their skis. LSU didn't play very well. Tigers are up 10. Should have been up less than that going into halftime. I feel like a year ago, or in past recent years, say the last decade, LSU would have won this game 35-21, and we'd have been talking on Monday about how it wasn't a great performance. Instead, they put the foot on the throat. They pull away in the end. They win by 51. The offense gets some momentum in the second half.
It ends up exactly the way it should have been.
It ends up, everybody feels good about it.
Right. Well, I'll tell you one thing. There's 2 things, and one you know a lot about because we were preached from Skip, and we talked about it last night on the show. Adrenaline means a lot. So when an in-state school comes in here and they're playing in front of 100,000, they're playing at a different level than against whatever state, that you saw. The other games. I mean, it's a big deal for these guys. 99% of them wanted to play at LSU and didn't, so this is their one chance to play. So you get a different kind of football team. Second thing is, in a great coaching move, Coach O didn't play guys that probably could have played to try to get him healthy for Vanderbilt, and then get him healthier in the bye week after Vanderbilt, and then you've got Utah State, then you've got the meteor schedule.
Mm-hmm.
So not only is he coaching this game, but he's coaching the next game, and as a coach, I can say as a coach, it doesn't matter really to the coach how much you beat them by. Like, we're at the point now where people are like, hey, we didn't win by enough, or we're not beating them enough. You just want to win the game, keep your people healthy, and move on to the next game.
The gambling line was 51, anywhere from 51 to 52
How
points.
good are those guys, by the way?
Well, it's amazing. It's amazing.
It's amazing.
They're way better than I am because I'm terrible. But the line started out early around 53. It kind of went down a little bit.
A lot of people wouldn't take that bet.
I think a lot of people wouldn't take it because of the 1AA, 1A kind of thing. But I think most people, the line came down largely because people felt like Coach O wasn't going to run it up on Northwestern State, being that that's his alma mater and everything. So I think when people realized that, the line started coming down. I was fortunate enough to get it at 51, so I hit right on the number. But if we
it was a push.
But if we make the extra point in the third quarter, but that's irrelevant. But anyway, but my point is, I think now that gambling has become acceptable, and you can go into casinos throughout the country and place a bet, it's not this hush hush thing you can't talk about. You got except in a back room somewhere at an oyster restaurant. And, I think now that it's acceptable, whether it's online, whether it's in casinos, whether it's TV shows and whatnot, that's the bar. You know what I mean? You talk about well, they didn't win by enough, so we're not happy. If you didn't know what the point spread was,
You've been happy.
you wouldn't care as much.
Well, see, yeah, now
You wouldn't judge good, bad as much.
Now teams are like, well, that's a really good team. They're 7-0, but they're not good against the spread.
Right.
And that's the second value that everybody puts on a team is not only do they win, but they cover the spread.
Right. Alabama, the last two games they played were very dominant, didn't cover. So it felt like they didn't play as well. You know what I mean? The line was 55.
Oh, the coach doesn't like he had the other team.
Right.
Right. That one.
Or at the end, you're in the fourth quarter when it's away and Nick Saban or Coach O or any of these great coaches are just, let me finish the game, let me stay healthy, let me get, now the crowd is, well, wait a minute, I need you to score another touchdown.
I will say this, between the idea that gambling and betting will probably come into play in the next couple of years, if not next year in Louisiana, and the fact that we're selling beer at Tiger Stadium, the people stay longer now because in that 50-point game, they're watching it till the end.
Yeah.
And the fact that you can get a beer and not have to run out to your tailgate,
Right.
watch a little bit, run back in, or even go to the shoot, the fact that you can get in the stands. I'm interested, we'll have some meetings this week to see how, after the first 2 weeks, what the impact is of the alcohol in the stadium, what the pros and cons, and I know that Scott Woodward and his team, led by Robert Munson, are going to really try to make that a good experience.
My question to you, I don't know what the expectations were on alcohol sales going into the season, or obviously you have projections of some kind. I don't know. I heard game one, there was, 27,000 beers sold, somewhere around that?
I think the biggest thing, and honestly, it's a source of revenue, 1.2 million. They could project whatever. But I honestly, knowing Scott Woodward and his team, I don't think that's really what they wanted. I think we're really working hard at LSU, and for you fans out there, the fan experience. We want to make sure that the fans get the best experience they can, and we're working at it all the time because that's, the fans are the most important thing in Tiger Stadium. That's what separates us. Without the fans, it's just a piece of cement that you play football.
Yeah, and trying to keep them there, right?
Keep
no
them
matter
there.
the sport, try to keep
You
them
get
there.
a value for your ticket. Not only am I watching a football game, but I'm having a great experience with my family or with my friends, and not just in the parking lot. It's in the stadium as well.
Yeah, it's. I'm curious to hear your numbers on the on your show, on the Skip and Dan show. Is it Dan and Skip or Skip and Dan?
Sundays with Skip and Cano.
Skip and Cano. Right.
It's like Tuesdays with Maurice. Remember?
Right, Skip and Cano. Okay, but
I'm always number two, Ronnie. I'm always going to be number two.
I figured that. That's why I asked first. Even though alphabetically it made sense, but we know it's Skip and Cano show.
At least I made it.
Right. Yeah. But my thing is that I'm curious to hear what the numbers are. Obviously, it's a source of revenue. The setup is really cool. I've seen all the different little setups around. I don't think there's been any negative really to speak of.
The other good thing is you increase security, you increase the amount of people dumping garbage and everything. So they put the money in because you're getting the revenue. So it's not really all revenue. You've got increased expense, but again, it's for the fans.
Mm-hmm.
We're trying to get with the fans and make sure they have a great experience.
You've been around these parts since 1991. Joe Burrow and what you're seeing from him. That we've seen flashes of that. We had Rohan's 1 year, and we had Matt Flynn's great year, and Mettenberger threw for over 3,000 yards 1 year. But the consistency that he's playing with,
the accuracy. He's throwing the ball at 83%, getting over 350 yards a game. Guy's tremendous, but what I see is his leadership. See, when he came in here, the biggest thing he wanted to be was in great shape. When they were doing training, when he first got here, he won all the sprints. He made sure he was first in everything, and the team followed him, and they followed his work ethic and his leadership and, the way he works at film and studies. And he's really a leader on the field. He's got command of that offense, and everybody respects him. And I think over a 2-year period, that's really something we haven't had here for a long time. Flynn did it for a year. But for 2 years and going into this season, I tell you what, it's just a tremendous thing.
And the other thing is that
it's tough.
He the leadership he shows in the huddle and on the sidelines too. We saw him get on his teammates a little bit. which is okay. You want to see that from your quarterback, and
You're in the heat of battle.
and
you're
they
supposed
handled
to.
it right. It's nobody's getting offended. Hey, they realize this is our leader, this is our guy, and man, just super impressive. Does he have a Heisman shot? I mean, is this realistic? I know we're talking about
one
it.
group has him as a leader in the Heisman. I think the biggest thing is how far does this team go?
Right.
If this team goes and gets into the playoff and maybe even plays for a national championship and, God willing, wins a national championship, the further they go, the more they're going to say, boy, this guy was the difference. He took a program from this level and brought it to this level. The way the media is, you guys in the media, I'm not really media, I'm just kind of on the side media. But no, I think the further the team goes, and you know that in baseball and any other sport, you got a better chance to win the MVP in baseball if your team wins the World Series than if you never even make the playoffs. So I think it's important the team does well, and Joe continues to perform at the level he's performed at. I think he's got a legitimate chance.
Yeah, the situation with Drew for the Heisman, I think 11-1 they have to be, right? I mean, I think they have to be 11-1, and I don't know if obviously if you beat Alabama and your one is something else. That's even better than it being 11-1 and your one being Alabama, and maybe Alabama does to you what they've kind of been doing and shutting LSU down. I think you got to show improvement against Alabama for Joe. Win or lose, you got to be able to move the ball. You got to be able to have a good game, even though maybe you don't win. But I think 11-1, because the Heisman generally goes to the person who's on the better team, unless it's just gaudy, ridiculous numbers that we haven't seen before or something crazy. But but people also like the new hot thing when they vote for the Heisman.
Tua got enough publicity last year. He got enough. But let's not forget one thing, because we just talked about it. Remember, one hit and Tua's out of the race, or Joe.
Yeah,
or anybody.
Just like Drew Brees.
Yeah, just one hit and it's over. So, it's early season projections. My thing is, I hope he wins the Heisman. It'd be a great thing for LSU, but of course, Joe Burrow. But I just want him to stay healthy and keep being our quarterback. I think that's key to the success.
You going to Nashville?
No.
Okay. So
my two games are Alabama and Ole Miss.
Okay, those are the ones you're going to go to. Very nice.
We split them up at TAF.
The one thing I'll let you get in before we leave, you are at TAF. You work a lot with fundraising when it comes to baseball. Obviously, that's your bread and butter. But you, Nola, let's talk about the Nola brothers for a minute. I mean, that story.
Is that the greatest?
Austin and Aaron Nola, I mean, I was wrong. I thought Austin Nola should have hung it up. I thought maybe 2 years ago he stuck around too long. Not that it mattered that he stuck around. I just thought, well, his window of opportunity had passed.
He's an older guy,
and he's just playing because he loves the game, and he's a great clubhouse guy. He can play a few different positions. Why wouldn't a team want to keep him around in AAA or AA to kind of help the younger guys? I thought that was his role. I was wrong. Glad I was wrong. But what he's doing with the opportunity in Seattle is unbelievable.
And he's swinging the bat, but hey, this guy,
he hasn't swung the bat like that since his junior year in high school.
Right. But I tell you what, the great thing about it is, like a Jeff Rebele, Austin could be in the big leagues for 10 years as the 25th guy because he plays all four infield positions.
Right.
Yeah, he can
catch even. Yeah,
he can
all
catch.
5, really. Yeah.
I mean, he plays all 5, and he can hit.
Yeah.
So he's a pinch hitter as well. Aaron, of course, is Cy Young material, and Phillies don't seem to score for him anymore. He lost the other night, but he pitched well, very, very well into the 7th inning. What a great story for both of those. I think the LSU story, of course, Bregman having a great year with the Astros, but DJ LeMahieu is an MVP, legit candidate. And what a year he's had for the Yankees, playing 4 positions.
Does DJ return the calls?
DJ?
Do we keep in touch with DJ?
We keep in touch.
Okay.
He's quiet, but he returns it.
Okay.
He stays in touch, but those big leaguers, they're hard to get during the season.
Yeah, I know. The Aaron Nola Pitching Lab.
Aaron Nola has.
Will that be a name, or
it's going to be the Aaron Nola Pitching Development Center?
Development Center, the new indoor
lab. Sounds like you got a guy with a lab coat and glasses,
right?
From the physics department.
Development Center.
Development Center is more like Alan Dunn and the guys, but we're excited about that as well.
All right, he's Dan Canavery. Thank you, Cano. Check him out. Skip and Cano, Sunday nights, 7 to 8 right here, right on ESPN Radio 104.5 in Baton Rouge. When we come back, we'll talk a little football with Drew Dillio, former Parkview Baptist great, and went on to play at Michigan. We'll talk to him when we return.
Heater outages hurt everyone. Don't be a victim. Call Accutemp and schedule your maintenance check today.
If you're an avid sports fan, then you need to check out the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame, located in historic downtown Natchitoches, next to the Chateau Saint Denis Hotel and the Natchitoches Convention Center. The Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame is where the rich history of Louisiana sports is told through the pictures, artifacts, and by the legends themselves in video archives. Come to the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame and Northwest Louisiana History Museum and visit a world-renowned architectural marvel. For more information and to purchase tickets to the annual Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame events, visit lasportshall.com/purchase.
Introducing the Mercedes-Benz family of vans, including the full-size Sprinter and the mid-size Metris. If these are your wingtips, if this is your gourmet latte, then these are your vans. Vans for professionals. Strictly professionals. Best commercial van residual value according to ALG, and starting at just $25,995. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to...
When you come to Relief Windows, your experience starts here.
Or here.
Then we come to your home.
We measure twice.
And then we bring custom windows to your home.
We remove your old windows. Install your new windows.
Clean our mess.
And we make sure you're completely satisfied.
And all of this before you pay a dime. And at Relief Windows, our #1 product is customer satisfaction.
Relief Windows.
Heater outages hurt everyone. Don't be a victim. Call Accutemp and schedule your maintenance check today.
Can't get enough sports shorts? Tune into Sports Shorts TV on Cox HD Channel 1013 Mondays at 8, Tuesdays at 9, and ETEL Channel 4. That's 52 weeks a year to get educated on sports by the best. Joel Davis and Ronnie Rance.
Welcome back, everyone, to Sports Shorts. Ronnie Rance here with you. Drew Dillio, former Parkview Baptist Eagle and Michigan Wolverine. How are you, man?
Doing well.
Thanks for joining us. We had Dan Canterbury first half hour. Just want to get your reaction. I mean, you grew up in these parts. You're from here. So whether you're a Saints fan or not, you got an opinion on this. Just came out that, as we tape here on Mondays, that Drew Brees is going to have surgery on his thumb, going to miss 6 weeks minimum. What say you?
I feel like if Louisiana is a double bubble piece of gum, it just got popped.
Yeah,
it's unfortunate. You know, injuries happen. You hate to see that for Drew Brees.
This was game number 2, so 6 weeks. I don't know how the bye falls in there. And look, when you say 6 weeks, that's just the starting point. You don't know. It could be 5. It could be 10. It just depends on how he heals. It depends on a lot of things. Being that it's Drew Brees, I would expect it to be 6 weeks, though. If anybody's going to come back sooner or on time, it's going to be him.
No doubt. I mean, I think I saw a quote from him where he said, those guys, those quarterbacks, they hit their hands all day long. But he said it felt like it was just a little bit different.
Yeah.
He said he was concerned, as you should be. But
in theory, let's say that he misses the 6 games and basically half the season. So that right now they're 1-1. They've got 6 more games to go. I would think, and this is just my opinion, with 6 games to go, if you could somehow go 3-3. And that puts you at 4-4 through 8 games. You figure at that point with Drew back, you got a chance to have a winning record, either 6-2 or 5-3 in your last 8, and that gets you at 9 wins, maybe 10 wins. Yeah. You got to go 3-3, right?
No doubt. I really think that Teddy Bridgewater is a great backup quarterback, but
whoa! You just said the word great. You really believe that?
Great backup quarterback.
Okay.
Maybe not a great starter quarterback.
All right.
But I do think that, as good as Teddy can be, I think that we're going to see Taysom Hill a lot more in the quarterback position, because that dude is just an athlete.
Yeah. The one time, I'm a gambler and I'm not a good one, but the one time I actually had some wah about me was yesterday. I'm watching the Saints game, and I don't know if you're a gambler or not, but I get into a little bit of this. Live betting is kind of new to me, right? So I hadn't bet the Saints game. I actually did a prop bet over 3.5 field goals in the game total. There were 5, so I won that. And I had a prop bet over 47.5 for a long field goal. There was 1. So I won those 2 prop bets. I lost the over-under by a lot. But I wasn't – that was it. I'm sitting there watching the game. All of a sudden, Drew goes out hurt. I immediately go, Saints are going to lose this game because they're probably going to lose it anyway. Even if he plays, it's a coin flip game. Yeah. So I go live. It was only -2.5 the Rams at the time, and I think the Rams were up 3 maybe.
Yeah.
And it was -2.5, and I quickly loaded up on that and won that, obviously going away. But that was the smartest thing I've ever done. Now the rest of the day was total trash, but I did good in that game.
I don't have to cut you off, but I don't follow the NFL lines as much, but the collegiate lines from this past Saturday were the Florida Kentucky.
Oh.
There was another one that was a field goal away. That was 1.5.
Well, the Florida Kentucky, you had a different number because I had 9. Florida ended up winning by 8.
Was it?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm thinking.
But maybe you had it. Maybe you got an 8 somewhere. I mean, the numbers. But that game caught. I looked, double took. Florida was a 9-point favorite. Kentucky should have won the game. They missed the field goal, and then on a garbage just handoff end around. They go 80 to the house, and Florida ends up winning by 8. And at first I thought, oh, at least I pushed. And then I was like, oh, wait, I got 9. Never mind. But maybe other people got 8.
I mean, it's just crazy how close those guys are.
There were a lot of wild lines that's why they call it gambling, trust me.
Yeah.
If LSU makes the extra point in the third quarter,
yep.
An extra point, Coach.
It's 1 to 2
win.
plays a game.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. He's Drew Dillio, played at Parkview Baptist for the great Kenny Guillotte, won a state championship while in high school, lost one, played in the Dome a couple of times. Before we talk about some college football, there's this select, non-select garbage that's going on. You fortunately, like I didn't have to deal with that when you were in high school. Whether it was public, private, you just played the best. You played whoever was in your division.
Yeah.
It's got to be. It's rewarding for you. You were a state champion at your classification. Was it 2A or 3A back then?
3A.
It was 3A state champion. And, you played whoever it was. I'm sure you played public schools during the playoffs.
Yep.
Nowadays, you win the state championship. It, to me, cheapens the deal because let's look at Catholic, right? Great. I'm happy for them. I got a lot of Catholic high friends. My daughter went to St. Joe, which is the sister school. They won 2 state championships. There's 10 teams. It's like a 12-year-old travel ball team that goes to Sulphur and says it won the World Series. You didn't play anybody outside of Louisiana, so it's kind of to me it tarnishes everything.
I agree, and I think that guys who played here in high school football in Louisiana would agree. I agree. I think that it's all about money though, Ronnie. You know that. And I think that from a player's standpoint, I think it does take some away from the game.
You played for Kenny Guillotte, a lot of people, a beloved figure. What made him so great? Because he had a lot of success for many, many years at Parkview.
Coach Guillotte is just a consistent, methodical guy that has a process, and he follows his process. He's very disciplined. He's an old school guy. He's going to hold you accountable. He treats every kid on his team, whether you're an 8th grader coming in spring ball to play varsity spring ball or you're a senior, he's going to treat you like you're his son. And he looks at it as it's his duty to turn you into a man. And I think, from a player, you just love that. Now,
Parkview's going through a transition. He retired a couple of years ago. Parkview's run the Veer for about 25 years.
Yeah.
Now they're going air raid. They've got LaFleur in there with a Christian Life, who was a great player at Louisville, had a lot of success in high school. But now it's totally different. Throwing the ball all over the park. You got to make that transition internally, right? As a program, you got all these players that are used to doing one thing, and so they're going through some struggles right now as they make that transition. But do you feel like it's the right thing? Is it necessary with the way things are going now and with the spread?
So pros and cons. The offense is more exciting. The cons, I think, you take a mid-level 3A school like Parkview, who is not getting near the amount of kids today as they were when I was in school.
Mhm.
But
Talking about the quality athletes. Yeah.
The advantage that we had is that you had some athletes, but that like the offense we ran was very hard to defend in a week's time.
Right.
You know, and then you mix in a few good linemen, a few good backs. Well, now you don't have maybe quite the same athletes. You have, you know, you're relying on your quarterback a little bit more to hit your receivers in space and things of that nature. So from a fan exciting standpoint, yeah, it's going to be a little bit more exciting. But I think there's a lot more room for error.
Yeah.
You know, you're talking about 15, 16-year-old kids.
Well, you know, the argument for people that against the veer and is it's a win now. Like, I mean, look at John Curtis, right? They're still doing their thing, and they've run the veer since the whole school started, and they've won more state championships than anybody. The negative was always the knock on a John Curtis kid was how good is he offensively, right? Like, how good is that wide receiver or that quarterback, because they don't get to throw the ball ever.
Right.
And they're running a gimmicky, air quote, offense. Whereas, I guess with the spread, you can kind of see more what they can handle. But you're the perfect example. You came from this veer offense, but yet you're a good enough athlete to where Michigan recognized that. You go up there to play for Rich Rodriguez, where they're running the spread. So you can talk to the challenges with these.
So I think for me, I was very fortunate to have been 3 years in high school with two very good quarterbacks that could throw the ball. And that's, you know, not every quarterback. I would argue some of the Curtis's quarterbacks in the past have just been system guys.
Mhm.
May not have been great, or they're throwing the guys who are, you know, 6'5", 250.
Mhm.
You know, but for me, it was a little bit easier. I really, my body was built more to be a slot receiver as opposed to, you know, an inside back. The thing that I had some value from is just the physicality that the offense teaches you. You know, and so for me to be undersized, I think to kind of have that physical mentality helped me at the next level, to really understand, like, hey, you know, it's going to take, I'm not going to outrun anybody. I'm not going to, you know, get around somebody, but it's going to take just a little bit different mentality.
You had how did you end up getting recruited? How did you end up at Michigan?
Honestly, my dad and I, we made some highlight film. David Semino, who's at Point Competing now, he ran all of our media stuff. He helped put a highlight tape together. We sent it out, honestly, and just got a couple letters in the mail. I think, so my sophomore year, we won the state championship. I think that kind of helped maybe get me on the map a little bit. Freddie Jackson was a recruiting coordinator who was actually from Scotlandville. He just gave me a call, and that's kind of how it started. They just saw highlights.
So you go up there to play for Rich Rodriguez, and he, you know, of course, folks loved him at Tulane when he was the OC, and he went undefeated with Sean King at quarterback, and then went over to Clemson and had success and whatnot. He goes up to Michigan, didn't quite work out for him up there. The coach, they make a coaching change. If Drew Dillio was playing now, and they had the transfer portal, would you have been gone when Rich Rodriguez left? I mean, but in the
tough.
sense that,
Yeah.
but it was different 10 years ago than it is now.
Probably.
Mhm.
Now I hate to say that because I'm the kind of guy that, you know, my parents raised me to work and work through problems. I'm not going to just turn and run. I think that some kids do that. Now, some kids, they need to do that. You know, you look at Justin Fields. He needed to leave. You know, it's better for his career. I was never like that guy, so
Right.
I was more of a team guy.
But the thing is that you weren't an offensive lineman or a defensive lineman or a backer. You were a slot receiver that was recruited for that system. You know, you were the ideal niche player that could have easily said, look, this system doesn't jive with me at all. You're going to run the ball out of the eye, and you're going to put a wide receiver way out there on the hash. I mean, like, where do I fit in? I mean, so.
I agree. I mean, is it Trey, the guy that was at LSU from Barb?
Trey Quinn.
Trey Quinn.
Yeah, who's playing with the Redskins
which
right
is
now.
a great move for him.
Right.
You know, I mean,
went to SMU, caught a bunch of balls, got to the NFL.
Yeah, they got 5 wides every down.
Mhm.
You know, it was nerve wracking a little bit because Hope came in from California, San Diego State. They ran more of a pro style. The fortunate thing for me is they took a couple slots and kicked him outside, moved him to X and Z.
Mhm.
So that really opened it up.
Did you have a conversation? Did he bring you into the office? Did you talk? Did you consider transferring?
So I thought about it. I talked to my dad. Now I will say this is funny to put on air. A few buddies of mine laughed at me. One of the first questions that Brady Hoke asked me the first time I met him is he looked at me. I sat down and he said, he introduced himself and he said, "Are you on scholarship?" And I was like dying, like, come on, like that's an insult, But I don't blame the guy, I'm 5'10", come on, everybody else.
So you the equipment manager, or are you playing for me?
It was just defeating, humbling. I'm like, yes, sir, coach, I am.
Hopefully, I'm gonna still be on scholarship after this meeting, coach.
I don't think my parents are paying the out-of-state tuition to come to Michigan.
That's awesome. How did you like playing for Brady Hoke? Because he's kind of like one of those guys that people don't really talk about much.
I've said this since I moved back here. He reminds me of Coach O. I don't know Coach O. I just see Coach O, but you can see the mannerisms and how he interacts. Just a player's guy, an old school blue collar guy. Hoke is from Ohio, but if he was from the South, he would be from South Louisiana. He's a guy. He walks in with gym shorts, flip flops, and a t-shirt. He talks to everybody. He knows your parents' names. Whether you're the starting quarterback or you're second or third string, he's gonna know you.
How many times when you were playing at Michigan, being a Baton Rouge guy from Parkview Baptist, did you get asked about Les Miles?
So I think at the sneakers,
Suits and
Sneakers, I said Jacques Doucet called me. I remember I was walking to class, and it was in between. Rich Rod had just left. It was the next week. Everybody said they saw, Michigan's plane at the Baton Rouge airport.
Right.
And he's like, "Hey, what's the deal with Les Miles?" I'm like, man, I have no idea. There was, I'd say, a handful. That right there, probably a few times within a week, just because it was a hot topic.
And did the people up in Michigan, when they made that change, before they hired Hoke and Rich Rod was out, did they want Les Miles? Did the Michigan faithful want Les Miles?
They did. It was funny for me to be in that position because I had just come from Baton. I mean, I'm an LSU fan,
right?
And I grew up my whole life going to Tiger Stadium,
right?
So I knew what
the fans over here were negative sometimes on Les.
Michigan wants, and I'm like, "You sure about that? Maybe y'all need to talk." And I love Coach Miles,
right.
But from what the fans in Baton Rouge said, I'm like, maybe y'all should talk to them first. And that's why I left Baton Rouge to come up here, and then Les, Coach Miles is going to come up here. I'm like, man,
yeah. Since you have a history with LSU and being here and being a Tiger fan, what are the one or two obvious differences between Michigan and LSU?
Probably the speed. That's just the SEC and Big Ten. And I'll say I talked to Derry Beckwith. This was a few years ago. Whenever LSU played Ohio State in the national championship, and he said, "Man, the first series when them guys came out, I couldn't believe how big they were." He said, and it took 2 or 3 plays to realize, he's like, we're about to outrun everybody because they were just so much faster. I think LSU, just from a fan base.
That's the stereotype, but it's true.
The speed.
They've got the big corn-fed offensive linemen.
Yeah, I mean, you look at, Iowa is a great example. Iowa, Wisconsin. I mean, those guys are massive.
Right.
6'7", 320.
Right.
You don't see that. You see some of those guys in the SEC.
Right.
But if the guys in the SEC are 6'7", 290, they still can run. You know, the back of Devin White. I mean, that guy is a elite athlete. He runs faster than a heck of a lot more receivers.
Right.
So yeah, I would agree with that. From a fan standpoint, the tailgating LSU, I mean, Tiger Stadium is unbelievable. The Big House seats 110,000. My senior year, we played Notre Dame. It was 114,000 in there. I mean, electric.
Yeah.
But when I was a senior in high school and LSU plays Florida, Hester
fourth down game.
I mean, I was in the stadium that game. Nothing compares to just the noise and the excitement and the electricity in that atmosphere.
Yeah, the comparison that I have is I spent the summer in Canada and in 1996, and I went to some minor league hockey games.
Yeah.
And I went to minor league hockey games in Baton Rouge when they had the Kingfish and all that. Very different, right? You go to the hockey games in Canada, they're watching hockey. They're not worried about the blimp dropping confetti down or the little game that's being played on the ice to win a free pizza. It's their hands are under their feet, and they're talking about hockey and they're getting on the referees. When you go to a Michigan game, they're watching football. It's not about all the pomp and circumstance, the bands and all the other things like it is at LSU.
So 2 weeks ago, Michigan was on air. Their student section was chanting, some ruthless, nasty chant. You can hear it on TV. A former teammate is on Twitter saying, I can't believe the student section is doing this, and I just shot back like you wouldn't last in the SEC.
right.
And it's like that.
Right.
It's just they're crazy about football. They're
Right.
just nuts. Where Michigan's a different deal because Michigan is a very prestigious,
kind of
academic,
blue blood.
blue
blood
I would say a
university.
white collar
Uh-huh.
university where we joke and say the first 30 rows around the stadium are all people who were 70 to 90.
Right.
That just
right.
are sitting watching the game.
Right.
Sober. Yeah.
He's Drew Dilio, played for the Michigan Wolverines, went to Parkview Baptist from here in Baton Rouge. We're talking some football. We'll get his take on Saints and LSU when we return. Sports Shorts presented by LeBears.
Heater outages hurt everyone. Don't be a victim. Call Accutemp and schedule your maintenance check today.
If you're an avid sports fan, then you need to check out the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame, located in historic downtown Natchitoches, next to the Chateau Saint Denis Hotel and the Natchitoches Convention Center. The Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame is where the rich history of Louisiana sports is told through the pictures, artifacts, and by the legends themselves in video archives. Come to the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame and Northwest Louisiana History Museum and visit a world-renowned architectural marvel. For more information and to purchase tickets to the annual Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame events, visit lasportshall.com/purchase.
Introducing the Mercedes-Benz family of vans, including the full-size Sprinter and the mid-size Metris. If these are your wingtips, if this is your gourmet latte, then these are your vans. Vans for professionals. Strictly professionals. Best commercial van residual value according to ALG, and starting at just $25,995. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to...
When you come to Relief Windows, your experience starts here.
Or here.
Then we come to your home.
We measure twice.
And then we bring custom windows to your home.
We remove your old windows. Install your new windows.
Clean our mess.
And we make sure you're completely satisfied.
And all of this before you pay a dime. And at Relief Windows, our #1 product is customer satisfaction.
Relief Windows.
Heater outages hurt everyone. Don't be a victim. Call Accutemp and schedule your maintenance check today.
Sports Shorts, tune into Sports Shorts TV on Cox HD Channel 1013 Mondays at 8, Tuesdays at 9, and ETEL Channel 4. That's 52 weeks a year to get educated on sports by the best. Joel Davis and Ronnie Rance.
Drew Dilio with us, former Parkview Baptist Eagle and Michigan Wolverine man. All right, want to get you a quick take. You played for Rich Rod. Played the spread. Are we seeing a lot of that now with this LSU offense? You got to be shocked being a native of Baton Rouge.
Yeah, man, it's incredible. Just, we were telling on the break that the LSU has had dominant receivers for so long, and it's just nice to get somebody in the position to get them the ball. You can see them go to work.
Of all the receivers that they have, we know Chase sat out on Saturday, didn't play, but when you talk about Jefferson and all the different guys, who's your favorite? Who do you think's got the highest ceiling?
Man, I was a big fan of Justin Jefferson, but then Jamar Chase just lit up Texas. I know Jefferson did too, but when you go over the top of DBs a few times, I really think I like Chase.
Yeah, Marshall, don't sleep on him too. He 5-star out of high school, devastating injury, but man, with that size, But I like the way Chase attacks the football. He reminds me a lot of Odell, how he goes and gets it at the highest point. Not as physical as Marshall, maybe, bigger, But but I think Marshall might have the best ceiling. But I'll tell you what, you can't go wrong with either one of them. Burrow, Joe Burrow, does he have a chance? I know he has a chance. Do you think he's going to be a first-round pick? If he has a great year and all this continues, does he get into the first round, or is that arm strength just not enough?
I think he does. I mean, if he stays on the pace he's on all year, I think he does. If he teeters off in maybe some subpar SEC games, Vandy, schools like that, maybe not. Because you look at a Kyler Murray, and yeah, he has a strong arm. He's a great athlete. You look at some of the former quarterbacks; they've been a little bit bigger guys, a little bit stronger arms. Jamarcus Russell type, strong strength-wise. I think if he keeps the same pace, yeah, I think he has a shot.
Yeah, he would, to me, would be a nice find for a team like New Orleans in the second round. I don't have enough. I don't. The arm strength is a legitimate issue for me because the NFL, man, that window shuts down in a hurry, and when he's not just standing up perfectly, it can be a little slow. But a system guy like that, this is a similar system what New Orleans runs. You can get him second round, a third round. That might be somebody you can groom for a couple of years.
A couple former Alabama quarterbacks, McCarron and McCoy. I'm not sure how high they went. Not McCoy.
A.J. McCarron. You're talking about like
yes.
the style, the similar.
They were, they had a stint in the league for a little while.
Last 30 seconds here. Saints, Drew Brees. Your projection: 8 games. They're 1-1 right now. Where will they be before Drew comes back? You think they, what?
Hopefully they can win 3. That's a goal. It's tough in Seattle. Tough even at home in the Dome against the Cowboys.
I don't know. Teddy didn't play real well, man. I don't see them being 4-4 through 8 games, which is where they need to be to give Drew a chance. I think you're looking at 3-5. I really do. I hope I'm wrong. I've been wrong betting everything else this year. Drew, thank you so much, man.
Thank you, Ron.
Drew Dilio. I want to thank Dan Canterbury. Don't forget Skip and Dan. Skip and Cano, Sunday night 7 on ESPN Radio in Baton Rouge. Have a great week.
Heater outages hurt everyone. Don't be a victim. Call Accutemp and schedule your maintenance check today.
If you're an avid sports fan, then you need to check out the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame, located in historic downtown Natchitoches, next to the Chateau Saint Denis Hotel and the Natchitoches Convention Center. The Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame is where the rich history of Louisiana sports is told through the pictures, artifacts, and by the legends themselves in video archives. Come to the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame and Northwest Louisiana History Museum and visit a world-renowned architectural marvel. For more information and to purchase tickets to the annual Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame events, visit lasportshall.com/purchase.
Introducing the Mercedes-Benz family of vans, including the full-size Sprinter and the mid-size Metris. If these are your wingtips, if this is your gourmet latte, then these are your vans. Vans for professionals. Strictly professionals. Best commercial van residual value according to ALG, and starting at just $25,995. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to...
When you come to Relief Windows, your experience starts here.
Or here.
Then we come to your home.
We measure twice.
And then we bring custom windows to your home.
We remove your old windows. Install your new windows.
Clean our mess.
And we make sure you're completely satisfied.
And all of this before you pay a dime. And at Relief Windows, our #1 product is customer satisfaction.
Relief Windows.
Heater outages hurt everyone. Don't be a victim. Call Accutemp and schedule your maintenance check today.